morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be on this planet. Welcome to another edition of Football Picks here on TalkingSports.tv. I am Marty York, your host, based in Toronto. On the line with me, of course, is the one and only Uncle Ben Walderman of UncleBen'sFootball.com, one of the most renowned football handicappers in the world. Our other handicapper, Handsome Howard, came in, is on assignment yet again, but don't worry. Uncle Ben has been, hot, to say hot would not even be, that would be the epitome of understatement. Uncle Ben has been on fire. Any of Uncle Ben's subscribers at UncleBen'sFootball.com have been doing well in recent weeks for sure. And let me tell you something. You aren't suffering at all if you're following Uncle Ben on college football as well. In fact, you're doing extremely well. And I can tell you that firsthand because I see how Uncle Ben is doing. And we're going to get to his college picks in the bowl games a little later on. He's done much better than even he might have thought going into bowl games, because the bowl games are traditionally difficult. But Uncle Ben has done extremely well on those picks, and he's got two more for you later on in the show. Uncle Ben is at his home office in San Diego. Uncle Ben, first of all, Happy New Year.
Gentlemen, up there in Toronto, Happy New Year to everyone out there, all the viewers. I want to wish everybody a happy and a healthy New Year. May all your picks be winners this year. And I hope you guys are having a nice little thaw out up there, although I hear the weather there is still on the chilly side.
It's icy, but, you know, the good thing about doing this program, Football Picks, with you here on Talking Sports is that we are dealing with people all over the planet, and they're watching us, and some are in very warm climates. And if they're cold, well, there's the NFL this Sunday, the wild card games to help them warm up. But I'll tell you, some people who were absolutely steaming last weekend, they were hot. The Pittsburgh Steelers, understandably so. The Pittsburgh Steelers could have backed into the playoffs last week if only Ryan Succop had made a field goal in overtime for Kansas City in San Diego, where you are, Uncle Ben. And Ryan Succop missed. This was a total fiasco because the referees missed a penalty on the play as well. And the poor Steelers have to sit out and watch the Chargers in the wild card games, in one of the wild card games this weekend. Were you at this game? And even if you weren't, can you explain what happened and just what your thoughts are about Ryan Succop's miss?
Well, Marty, it was a bizarre turn of events. First of all, I was not at the game because I wanted to stay, at home in my home office. I wanted to take in all these games that were coming up on the final week of the season.
Sure.
There were some huge implications. So I wanted to really view most of the games, if not all the games. But, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers player, fan, whatever you are, living in the state of Pennsylvania, you've got to figure, hey, like the Dolphins lose early, right? Which we had the Jets, by the way, last week. We also had the Pittsburgh Steelers because I thought they would be motivated playing against a Browns team that had nothing to play for. They also covered the spread. But the way it just turned out with Baltimore losing to Cincinnati and Miami losing, Pittsburgh winning early. Okay, you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan or player, like I said, you're sitting there with there was about 11 seconds left, I believe, in the Charger game. After the Chargers came back frantically and scored 10 points in the last 6 minutes to tie the game, Kansas City drives down the field. They got a field goal opportunity with 11 seconds left, like I said, from 41 yards, Marty, which is, it's pretty much a chip shot for the kickers. Yeah. This is not college kickers. These are professional kickers.
Yeah.
You're a Pittsburgh Steeler. You're sitting here. You're in your locker room. You're with your pals. We're in the playoffs. This guy's going to make this 41-yard field goal. Sure enough, he misses the kick, which was unbelievable because not only did he miss the kick, but there was a line or a formation infraction. Nowadays in the NFL, you can only have, Marty, 6 players maximum on one side of the line of scrimmage. So you can't stack all your guys on one side of the line, 7, 8, 9 guys, and rush the kicker. Sure enough, the San Diego Chargers had 7 players on this line of scrimmage on one side of the line. The officials missed the call, which would have been a 5-yard illegal formation penalty on the Chargers, which would have allowed Ryan Succop another crack from 36 yards. Probably would have made it, Marty, although, this is why they play the games, but you got to think he would have made that one, and the Pittsburgh Steelers would be going to the playoffs. instead of the San Diego Chargers. So it was a bizarre event, first of all, for him to miss a kick like that, and then the NFL to, miss a call like that, which had playoff implications. Certainly on that one play, there's no gray area here. This kick had certain playoff implications, and it was just a plain blown call, Marty. I'm not sure who the referee committee was on that, but they got to be feeling it from the Pittsburgh Steelers home office this week.
There's no question about it. I mean, the officials actually came out and admitted that they erred, and they apologized to the Steelers. And let's face it, Uncle Ben, there's no question that the Steelers deserved a better fate. However, when you look at the beginning of their season, and like I say, I tip my hat to Ben Roethlisberger and to Mike Tomlin, who I think did an outstanding coaching job, and Antonio Brown, and a lot of these veteran Steelers who, to me, did very well to even get back in the playoff picture. But when you really look at it fairly, they have no one to blame but themselves for their earlier season efforts. I mean, they were in a real funk at the beginning of the season. The Steelers did not look good. They lost a lot of games at the beginning of the season. So the fact that they were trying to get the backdoor entrance into the wild card, they really have nobody to blame but themselves.
Well, I understand that they started 0-4, and only one team in NFL history has made the playoffs starting 0-4, but they did finish 8-4. But nevertheless, Marty, I understand what you're saying. Okay, and they were in a position, 41-yard field goal, we're in the playoffs.
True.
Very unusual, crazy situation. There was a lot of crazy games last week, but that one took the cake for me. Although everyone out here is very happy that the San Diego Chargers are in the playoffs, but now they're going into Cincinnati. We're going to get into that later this week, and we'll talk about in the show, and we'll talk about that later. But, just a crazy ending to that one for sure.
And speaking of crazy endings, there was one also last week involving the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, I know that the Packers missed him during the course of the season when he got hurt. There's no question they became a different team and deteriorated conspicuously without him calling the shots on offense. But man, is he blessed. I mean, he fumbles a ball that ends up becoming a touchdown. And then on a 4th and long situation, he finds a receiver wide open for a touchdown. Inexcusable on the Bears' part, but so lucky for Aaron Rodgers. And as a result, the Packers are in the wild card game this week against San Francisco, and they're at home. And I don't know, your thoughts, Uncle Ben, on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers' fortunes.
Well, the Packers were rolling along, Marty, at 5-2 when they met the Bears in Week 8, the week Rodgers broke his collarbone, I believe it was. And then they proceeded to lose, I think it was 5 in a row.
Right.
And everybody thought the Green Bay Packers were done. They fought back, they came back, they got themselves in a position. They had that tie against Minnesota, I think it was, which actually won the division for them in the end, that tie. And, they could have lost that game in overtime just as easy. They wouldn't have had that opportunity. But now that Rodgers is back, it really, I think when his absence really helped the rest of the ball club build confidence in themselves. They leaned on Eddie Lacy a lot more during that period. And Eddie Lacy developed really into quite a good runner and has taken a lot of pressure off their QB situation when they didn't have Rodgers. Now Rodgers comes back. He looked pretty good last week, Marty, I got to say. Granted, they were lucky on the Boykin fumble, that sort of dead fumble touchdown play. Good to see it was in the first quarter. I'm glad that didn't happen like at the end of the game or some crazy thing like that. At least the Bears had their opportunity. They came back. They got the lead. It didn't really factor in at the end of the game, which would have been really quite bizarre. But anyway, Rodgers, Mark, your friend Mark Trestman, I know you know Mark very well. He's got to be super disappointed. The Bears came out of the gate on fire this year, and they looked like they had it all in control. Once Detroit collapsed and then Rodgers went down, looked like the Bears were going to do it. But they had some injury problems themselves during the season with Jay Cutler. But McCown performed pretty well. But this fourth down 13 or fourth down play that they scored that 48-yard touchdown on, like you said, inexcusable. Now they're going to play at home in Lambeau Field. They actually get a home game out of that in January at the Frozen Tundra in Lambeau Field, and it's supposed to be frigid weather there Saturday, I believe, Sunday afternoon. We'll see what happens, and we'll talk about that in a later segment. But, yeah, that was incredible. The Packers are in, and I think the Packers are a dangerous team right now. with Aaron Rodgers healthy, and the team's got a lot of confidence right now, the Green Bay Packers, especially playing at home in January.
Well, okay, I see. I think I see where you're going on that one. Then with the Packers being underdogs at home, we'll get back. We'll get in touch with you a little later on in the program about all four of your thoughts. On all four games, I should say. Your thoughts on all four wild card games. If I could just say that right, it'd be so much easier. But you know what I mean. Well, we'll get your picks, and I will take a little break right now, Uncle Ben, and when we return. Before we get to the picks, I want to talk to you about the 6 coaching changes that were made in the NFL in the past few days, and also what you are expecting in terms of further coaching changes. With Uncle Ben at his home office in San Diego, I'm Marty York. We'll be right back with Football Picks. Don't go away.